So, this is Blackout Magazine's Vivid Voices, and of course, I am T. Douglas. And for this segment, I really wanted to highlight International Sex Worker Pride Day, and of course, who else to have but our incredible guest, trailblazing performer and advocate, Carlisha Gizelle. So she is breaking barriers and has broken barriers in the adult entertainment industry and also advocacy work. And we just happy to have her here on Vivid Voices. So, Carlisha, for those who might not know anything about you, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know what you
Okay.
do. Just we. I always love for people to take it away and tell me what I don't know, because there might be something I don't know as well, and I just want to learn more about you.
Okay. So my name is Carlisha Gizelle. I am a California native who now resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Currently, I am a sex worker by way of OnlyFans and like digital sex work. I've been doing that now for about the last, I want to say, yeah, 4 years. I started around 40. My journey into sex work was an interesting one, be it I came from corporate cosmetics. I was with one of the biggest cosmetic brands in the world for 20 years. And within that brand, 15 years of that, I did the corporate piece of it, growing locations, working with staff, ensuring it was a cohesive shopping experience. Prior to corporate cosmetics, like adolescence, again, I am a California snob. So I was raised in Central California, San Luis Obispo, Sacramento, and then I moved to LA where my cosmetic piece of my journey flourished. By way of the cosmetic industry is when I was able to be introduced to civil and human rights advocacy, which was a huge blessing. I was able to be a part of global campaigns as well as town hall meetings for the brand internally, as well as find creative ways to funnel raised money within the brand into local nonprofits. In Los Angeles, I had relationships by way of that position with Unique Women's Coalition and the Trans Latina Coalition in Los Angeles, all that, and however, the pandemic hit. And what was really interesting with my relationship with that brand, the last 3 years, I was positioned into global marketing by way of me being trans, by way of me being an Afro biracial woman, that they wanted to use that for marketing and engagement to pull the consumer in. And I really thought that my voice and my presence and my position was all protected. But I learned very quickly about corporate cosmetics because after the pandemic and with the way the selling experience changed, I then had to think quick because my position was gone. And being a trans woman and having done work in the community, I knew that survival sex work was an option. I didn't want to, or I didn't have the capacity to be able to do the sex work where it's like the client sex worker piece. And hats off to the girls that could do it. That is a very challenging piece of the sex work that I was not. I attempted. I'm not gonna lie. I attempted. I just me spiraling couldn't handle it. So I attempted the OnlyFans space. And at first, it was just like survival, trying to figure it out. And then once I implemented my business mind to the OnlyFans, like playing field, things just got really good. And it's interesting because I make more money than I did in corporate now. And yeah, very interesting. But yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
But yes, I appreciate you for telling so much of your story. Honestly, that was actually my first and second question.
Okay.
That you answered, which is great. But my next question was gonna be, was there a moment when you realized that like your work and your presence could serve as a larger purpose? Because you said you felt like you thought it was going to be protected and you thought all of these things, but when was the moment when you realized that like, hey, I can empower myself even though these companies aren't going to like protect me and still move forward?
Okay. So this is where the piece of my story it like gets real. I love all that framework and that sounds amazing. And in my life story, it's usually my situation I feel is very unique because most girls go like sex work into corporate versus corporate into sex work. Um, so while being with that brand, I really thought all those things that you just said. I knew I was protected. I made all these relationships. I mean, I knew I was good. And of course, always looking at it through that corporate piece and standing on their foundation. Now, when the pandemic hit and I had to make some decisions based on survival, that was when, for the first time in 20 years, and mind you, I started with them when I was 19, I left at 39. So my entire childhood, young adulthood, adulthood, entering, middle age, um, I thought I had all that figured out that you're asking me in this chapter now. Um, I'm it's not that I'm in survival mode, but I'm definitely in a place where I'm very clear that before I can do anything for anyone else, I need to make sure I'm good. And I think that's why, for example, on my social media, why I toy with the humor piece of it, but I like to discuss real things. That's like it's a little bit of therapy for me, but on the other hand, it's also me being honest and transparent surrounding topics I want to touch on, which are traditionally not the fun stuff. I'm not someone that is gimmicky on there. Like I'll find a topic that really fucking chaps my hide, and then I'll play in here of trying to find a digestible way to bring it up while also making my point. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I'm just carving out my piece of the sky, creating what works best for me. And like in the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. So hopefully it translates.
It does, because I must admit I do watch a lot of your IG content, and it's real, but it's also humorous. So I think it does, for a lot of us, it creates that, light sense of humor in really trying times,
Yeah,
So I appreciate you for that, for
thank
sure.
you.
So you did talk about like you try to create contents around issues that you feel strongly about. What
Mhm.
are some of the issues that you feel strongly about, like in this current time?
So I believe in our current time, what I'm very passionate about is understanding the intersections of everything and where we could all meet each other. I do believe that the subgenres of expressions and lifestyles and sexuality all matter very much. With this current climate, to me, what I believe the most important piece is kind of like, do you remember what were they? Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Oh
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
in order for them to become, I think it was a Globaltron, like they all had to team together. They all served their own pieces. They all had their own like journey, stories, narratives. But right now, before any of us could fight for our own liberties, I believe the most important piece is just to kind of simplify everything. While I want my rights and women want their rights and men want their rights, simplifying it down to bodily autonomy while we're trying to think who's legal, who's not, just making sure people have the tools they need to navigate this space to get to where they want to go if we're supposed to be the country of the home free and the brave. So my message more than anything is just like stripping the shit down and making the mark and pushing the shit forward, as well as creating a conversation around the illusion of inclusion. Because I believe this generation is really lost in the sauce of all the perks that I know. I'm not, are we close in age?
We are very close in age, I'm sure.
Okay, so I'll state mine because I'm proud of it. At 44, um,
Oh yeah, we 2 years apart. Yeah.
okay, so at 44, when I would engage in like gay pride or when I would do any like ballroom functions or just anything very queer focused, um, it was just different framework. So I was talking with a girlfriend recently about this, and I was like, it pride to me today is not really something I engage in. I remember being in San Francisco in early 2000, and I remember being in front of the that's not the Capitol, um, where like the political spaces in SF, but I just remembered being out there, and all of a sudden I started paying attention to people had these beads on, and on their beads it would say like Corona or vodka, and I was like, oh, and like to be there when all that stuff started happening, I was like, wow, we're like walking billboards now. Like I know that if I tap this person's shoulder, I'll say, where did you get your Heineken? They're like, over there. So again, coming from a corporate background, I was just looking at everything like, are we being kind of played? But even before that, me and my friends were discussing, I was like, do you guys remember the piece? I know in California we did this at the Capitol in Sacramento. When people died from AIDS, they made quilts.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
those quilts um, really hit hard when you thought about what our community had been through, where we're at, and understanding where we're going. And when they would lay all the local quilts in front of the Capitol while we were having Pride, just to give us like the framework to understand what we were here. It's fun. We're here, we're queer, get used to it. But there was definitely a bigger initiative on everyone's playbook as we've progressed, and we don't have those visuals anymore. It's easy to slay Sissy the House Down Mama, Shady Boots, who's headliner, but none of that would even happen if we didn't have to fight for what we had to fight for. So just hoping we can bridge the gap for this generation to understand the illusion of inclusion, and just because the laws are there that we're not protected, which is unfortunate, but this is where we are. So what the fuck are we gonna do?
That is so very true. And I think a lot of places still do the quilts. And I think a lot of younger people really don't know what that means. And I think we need to get back into, teaching the young people history first. Because a lot of them they engage in the culture, but they don't even really know where it comes from. Um,
Yeah.
and you did talk about like the headliners. So speaking of like headliners and entertainers, do you really think that people on a mainstream platform, do you really feel like that they care about the community, or do you feel like, you know,
I
they're
think being
here,
quick, they're here what?
or do you think they're here, just for like reposts and like rainbow emojis and the
Yeah, I think the unfortunate part about about all of it, even within Black community, one thing I've learned is that the moment whatever it is becomes commodified is the moment you enter said situation into being trendy, not trendy, marketable, not marketable. And the moment, the Black queer experience became marketable, it's a great way to generate money during Pride seasons, or if an album's selling, rally up your queer base. Um, back in the day, a lot of artists were able to sustain their careers because of their queer base. But, in today's time, as queer is now trendy and marketable and a way to generate money, they don't have to stand on business like the divas from the past. You can just, hire a few queer people around you, learn the antics, hire them to do whatever you need them to do for, optics and views. Although, and however, what I, what will always stick out to me in my brain is money, funding, and um, who's cutting them their checks. Because, that's where you really see people's morals and integrity. So I think this generation is having a hard time with people who they thought were for them, and then leaked videos come out or audio comes out, or the person's partner will say something that isn't in alignment with whatever campaign they're pushing. But you can't put these people on pedestals unless they've done the work.
This is true, and we see that happening in media all the time. Speaking of like media, do you ever think that like the monetization of like trans porn will change like that? As far as like, how queer things became more marketable and now people can make money off of it, so we see it on like a mainstream. Do you think that that will become more mainstream, or do you think because of our political climate and the DL culture that it won't ever get there?
DL culture, that is so funny. I believe now DL culture is a black and brown title, and on the white side, it's just MAGA. Like a MAGA man is the DL man. Um, but as it pertains to, are you asking like, are people going to start be able to like own their likelihood, or is it going to be like flipped on us?
Actually, both. How do you see the
Okay.
future of it? What do you think is going to happen?
So, be it that I'm an independent creator and completely in control of my likelihood, and I'm my own boss and just like running everything. This is the first time in the adult industry, which again, I think it's so important that people should know, regardless of it, being a sex worker on this side is so fascinating to me because there's what people are saying and then there's what people are doing. And so this is the first time in the adult industry where the talent could take control. I did attempt when I was in corporate cosmetics to step into the adult world, and that was because at that time, insurance hadn't quite recognized the necessities a trans person would need to transition, and insurance wasn't there paying for it. So you girly pops that are getting the Obama, or my brother and my brownies, if you guys are getting the benefits of insurance, it was a very different time. So I attempted the adult work back then, and I I didn't like that everything was picked for me, that they would pick who I filmed with, that I was given a flat rate, and then after that, they owned me. And my image, my videos, my clips, like all that could be used however they see fit, multiple websites, spliced into multiple DVDs. So they're just gaining revenue, 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 revenue. So again, this is where I'm very thankful for my corporate background, because the moment it was all explained to me, and then the way that those people in that space try to explain it to you, they're expecting you to be stupid. So another superpower is just to smile and nod. But I got it. Now at the boom of OnlyFans, initially we were all hearing about it. We were seeing people, do their biggest ones. And I saw the social like response to it. And initially I too was like, why would you want to do, very judgmental, very opinionated. Although and however, once I was pushed into the corner and it was like sink or swim, I'll never forget. Beyonce was why I decided to do OnlyFans, honestly.
Okay.
That damn Megan the Stallion song when she said when Beyonce said, a demon time, I'm gonna start on OnlyFans. So I'm a fucking nerd. So literally my brain was like, well, if Beyonce is speaking about OnlyFans, that means the trend of it's gonna go that we're gonna see marginal growth in it. If we're gonna see marginal growth, and that means the long-term goal is that it's gonna be normalized. If it's gonna be normalized, I need to get on the fucking trend now, right? Fucking weirdo. So the next thing you know, I start like studying the market. I start learning about porn, which is a $9 trillion industry up to $94 trillion, depending on what they're counting and what they're not counting. The amount of people that watch porn blew my brain because everyone seems to have a fucking opinion about it, but the number says, bitch, you're watching it. And not only that, the way we're able to now pick out which states are watching what is the most popular by way of country, so on and so forth. So once I started seeing like the technical data, I was like, oh, this is all a fucking like a game of antics and like mental shit. And the way that the usually the feminine energy or like the one getting everything done to them is society is allowing them to be framed in a certain way while the people recording it or the masculine energy, the top whatever, is usually like the celebrated. So I was like, oh, this is all fucking misogynist, just bullshit. So once I was able to, step in and make it work for me, in the beginning, people see it as, you got to do what you got to do. The funny part is when you become successful and then everyone has a fucking opinion. So, from a human behavioral standpoint, it's been very interesting to observe. From a business standpoint, I do see that there is a lot of room for growth if someone wants to own their likelihood and join the adult industry. It's a great way if you're someone who wants to do the adult industry, it's a great way to like build yourself up. And then if you want to transition into studio, you now have leverage. It's kind of like what indie artists are doing today. They're building their fan base, and then that's when the bigger what are they called?
Opportunities and
No, like they're not networks. The studios, the bigger, not they're not music studios. What are they
oh, big
called?
studio, production
Yeah, so
studios and
like
production companies.
uh like uh, Rock Nation is called what?
Rock Nation. What do you mean?
Anywho, so like the right. Um,
Right.
but like
We get
when
you.
those bigger umbrellas they start pulling people up because they're like, oh my God, you already have a built-in fan base. You've already like demanded everything. So I'm seeing a lot more of that happen now where people are able to be more in control of their likelihood. They're able to, go to the table ensuring that they're getting the biggest dollar, which is where, to wrap it up in a bow, I see that while this is a good time for it, I'm also watching the narrative change because these bigger studios are now having to compete with indie performers. And because women are now being able to take ownership of everything and they're financially moving up, it's creating a bit of a separation between men and women to where it was easy just to call her a slut and I bust my nut to you and you're someone I get off to, but it's hard to swallow the pill when you see that girl in public and you realize you're in a Honda and she's rolling in like a Bentley for the weekend. So, you know, it's an interesting time. So I can see them trying to find a way to slow down a girl's bag, but that's that weird warped alpha MAGA DL energy.
Yeah, and like, so for me, I have that. Listening to you talk had two more questions that came into my brain.
Let's go.
So like one, what is your biggest like fan base? Where do you see like your most clients and your biggest viewers come in? Is it like southern? Is it different countries? Like
So initially when I first started, um, I didn't know up from down. I couldn't figure out, like, all I knew is I was filming myself have sex, and I was putting it out there, and whoever bought it bought it. What's interesting is when you put everything out and you start getting a fan base, your fan base helps you curate the persona. Um, my persona was curated by Southern Black men, which is really interesting because traditionally Southern Black men, most of my consumer in America is like the South and the East Coast, some Midwest. But what's interesting, I'm Afro-biracial. I'm very clear that I'm Nigerian, Sicilian, and even in branding, I make sure people always know. I didn't start doing like the blonde hair and bimbifying myself till I realized that's what my consumer wanted. And what's interesting, even in that, like I'm my boss, but I'm also my talent, and I have to separate the two. So when I'm dealing with a consumer, I can't be opinionated, strong-minded Carlisha. I play very stupid, very passive. As long as you've made your tip, like it's a fucking strip club, you know? It's like you pay for the entry, you're gonna get your 2 drink fucking minimum. You want a VIP dance, that's another, fee. So as long as you're moving within my parameters, my name is Star and my favorite color is clear. Now, when you start going outside of those parameters, that's when Carlisha, the manager, shows up, and it's like either, bouncer style. Are you gonna pay or are you gonna get out of her face? So, they're two people, but people, like to reduce you down to a one-dimensional persona. But yeah, traditionally it's a lot of the South, but what I'm very proud of is I do have a very big Nigerian fan base. So that
okay.
I mean, I am something that they spill their seed to, but nevertheless, they're very proud of me.
Okay, and like you talk about like Carlisha and Star, and how do you like really like balance the two as far as like your real life and like dating and like staying grounded? Like, what's that look like?
So this is again where corporate really helped shape the way that my brain works. When I'm in when I'm on set, when I'm online, as the persona, and when I'm showing up in spaces where the persona needs to be front facing, I disassociate. So um, traditionally, people don't like the way we're talking right now. Traditionally, people don't hear me talk like this because I try to keep it fun, lightweight, upbeat, cutesy, or I'm just sex, like just give me your money, you know? So usually I like to hide this piece of me because some guys don't like a girl that's smarter than them. And I'm not just smart, I'm also very intelligent as well as studied. So I have to always play this game, but working around white women in corporate cosmetics really helped me be able to learn how to save face, know when to speak, know how to speak, and know the power of my words and be very intentional with what I'm saying. So it's it's about for me, and I use this in every aspect of my life. I'm more active than I am reactive. I know how to assess the situation in front of me. Um, I always say it takes 2 hands to clap. So if someone does something that causes a reaction out of me, that means you got me in the game with you. So traditionally, I'm just kind of assessing shit. Um, uh, when it comes to dating, I've definitely put dating on the back burner. And that's a really interesting one. I've put dating on the back burner because when I was in corporate cosmetics, the men that would pursue me always assumed I was a sex worker, and they would play those games as if I was a sex worker, and I would go out of my way to show them I'm not a sex worker, you know? But, long story short, what they really wanted was a sex worker they could play those mind games with, so it would never work out. now that I'm a sex worker and I see the bottom of the beast, the belly of the beast, and I'm not willing to play games with a man at all. Like I'm very just focused on my security, my stability, and just making sure that I have everything very peaceful around me. Um, I hear things that men say because they're paying you for their privacy and their ability to speak freely about what they want to do, engage in order for a man to be a part of my life and, in a romantic regard, the amount of like emotional maturity, integrity, like moral compass, all that would have to be in alignment, which is challenging because I'm a sex worker. And most people reduce me down to a one-dimensional like idea of who I am. Like people literally think, like even I was like, do I have to like pull myself together? And you're like, yeah, I look flawless as usual. I'm like, sir, I am in a fucking bonnet all day. I don't e It's
Look, you could have still
sunblock.
came in a bonnet. You still look flawless in a bonnet.
I got
Realism
ready
is
for
still
you
flawless,
because
you know.
it's okay. I got ready for you. I was very happy to take my hair out of the rollers and whatnot and feel beautiful again. But because of all of that, it's just very interesting. I am thankful though. Like 2017, 2018 was my last real relationship. And that relationship lasted like maybe 2, 3 years. And I'm so thankful for that relationship because once you're in a healthy relationship, once you actually experience someone who sees you beyond your gender, beyond your sexuality, beyond all the ideas, but literally sees you and you're with someone who's intentional about how they're showing up for you. It was the first time where I was in a relationship where I was able to finally fucking relax and I was no longer in survival mode. And I was able, to lean into that soft girl era and I was able to finally like really own the nurturing side of me and be the kind of partner like we always romanticize about, but we seem to have a hard time getting there because that's also the masculine's piece to ensure like as like I always consider myself more like a healer. I'm someone who knows how to go into the space and make it better type of a situation, but those kind of energies can't operate unless they're with a protector. So if I also have to protect myself, you're not getting the fucking healing piece of me. If I also have to protect myself, you're not getting the fucking, I'm nurturing me, bitch. So after that relationship and seeing what a real relationship looked like, and even in that relationship, when it ended healthy. Like it wasn't, there was like the entire relationship was like we had our hiccups, and even in breakups, we had our hiccups. But for the most part, I walked away from that relationship going, wow, if they're not going to at least show up at bare minimum like that, you don't need to be in my life at all. But now with this layer of sex work and it being put over my head that no man wants to see their girl. Okay, fine, that's great. So well, also this is what I make, and unless you're gonna try and help me figure out how to pivot out of this, I don't know. Are you like forward thinking? Because we have this money coming in by way of me. Are you into Bitcoin? Are you in stock exchange? Like how can we flip it together? But so many niggas are out here talking about what you bring to the table and don't have a house for the table to fucking sit in, nor when they talk about gold diggers, bitch, you ain't got no fucking gold. So most of the time, I'm just taking care of me, doing me, and saving space for like-minded individuals.
I mean, that sounds like a great place to be, but the guys who are watching this, she just gave y'all all the playbook. So I mean,
I do all the time. I'm very transparent.
she
Yeah, and the
just
funny other thing is
got
people ask me, they go, "What's your type?" And I go, "That's so
heal,
interesting. If you would
healing.
have, huh?"
I said someone healing. It's a
No,
good time,
I'm healing. I need a
right?
protector,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's just a piece of it. In order for you to like, I need someone who like people always think that when they start those which is why I also have a hard time being around other sex workers who are also horny because I'm like I sex is my job. Like, turn that shit off sometimes. Like, literally, I just want to sit with girlfriends, eat ice cream, and watch Sailor Moon. You know, like, I don't want to talk about a boy. I don't want to know who's in your phone, who's hitting you up. Like, I just want to be a girl. But in my younger years, I would have said, you know, he's got to be this tall, this complexion, this body type. Like, when I hear the babies talk about he got to be gangster, a killer for real. Oh my God. First of all, you need to be able to speak with punctuation to fuck with me. The second piece of that is, you know, I'm constantly on a journey of healing. I'm constantly on a journey of evolving. And for a man to even honestly get my attention, I was just thinking about Whitley. Um, remember when she described her perfect man? Never mind. Okay. So
do.
it's do you remember?
I do.
And they're like, well, what about his money? She was like, well, a man with all those things would never be broke. Okay. So it's kind of along the same lines, like integrity, values, moral compass, emotional intelligence, communication piece. Like if all those things are on the table, I know that between the two of us, we could take over the fucking world. But I'm just not in a position or a place anymore that I'm willing to shrink myself to have a partner.
And you shouldn't have to. So, like I said, guys, she just gave you out the playbook. So another. So, what would you say to a young trans woman who's thinking about entering the like adult industry?
Wait until after 25.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a vicious industry. And when your frontal cortex isn't fully developed, I think a piece of psychology and human behavioral studies is you're throwing stuff into the space and people will reflect back to you whatever you want to get you to do what they need you to do. But that without that cortex, you're not going to be able to fully gauge, do I want to do this? So I've just seen too many youngsters, you know, get sucked into this, and before you know it, either they need to chemically detach or they get so sucked into the persona they're not they don't know how to detach from who's making the money from them versus feeling like they have to be that person. It's like a modern day Britney, you know, you're gonna end up fucking shaving your head, doing stupid shit, and then here you are in your 30s and you're like, I threw it, I wish I would, and you're angry. But you know, if you wait till a little later, there's money on the table for everything for everyone. I will say that OnlyFans is a business and you need to operate it like one. So to think you're going to make the kind of money you want to make while living an urban reckless lifestyle, those two really are, you can see like within the 5 years that for something years that I've been doing it, I've seen people who get so caught up to it and the lifestyle eats them up and then they're gone. And I watch another swing up, the lifestyle eats them up and then they're gone. So it's like, are you going to have a business mind and be, are you here for your bag? Are you here for popularity? Are you here trying, you know, to incorporate OnlyFans so you can get on the baddies? Like w without like having a clear mindset on why you're doing it, I wouldn't do it because it's there forever. That's one thing I had to accept is the moment I pressed send, the moment I created the Twitter, the moment my clips started getting onto Pornhub, was the moment that there is no turning back. Whether people discuss it with me or not, I'm very clear the kind of numbers I get in these adult spaces. So I know that people see it. So I think that's a piece that people need to understand. The young girls like understand, even if you feel like you don't want to be seen a certain way, you're not there to defend yourself in these cyber spaces. So you need to be very sure that this is what you want to do.
Okay. Great advice. Now I got a fun question for you.
Let's go.
Maybe fun. So, if you have 5 minutes to speak for trans women in America to the president, what would you say?
If I had 5 minutes to speak
Five.
on behalf of trans women in America
Yeah, to the president,
to Trump,
to Trump. in his cabinet? What would your 5 minutes look like? I'm just curious.
Okay, first of all, wait, hold on. I'm gonna say something and like the CIA and FBI are gonna break into my house. First of
Oh,
all, I mean, you gotta call a thing a thing, you know. I'm really big on not wasting my voice on deaf ears. Um, and on someone who's not listening to understand, but listening to respond to shut down. I don't believe I'll ever be heard by someone in that cabinet or that president or VP. So if I had the opportunity to be in their space, for the culture, I'd probably end up in prison. I would start with maybe peeing in the in the office and maybe try and shit on the desk. I would just make sure that I was brilliantly woven into the culture like the chair, you know? You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm not going to be hurt. Like if we're
right.
even like debating whether Charlie Kirk should um is
Oh,
a fascist or not, or you know, was for black people or not. Like I don't like how do you even join that conversation to say like bodily autonomy and human rights are human rights? So that's pointless. I'm gonna pee on JD Vance. I'm gonna shit on Trump's chair. I'm gonna act a fucking ass.
I just
I'm
said I'm gonna
going
leave the White
out.
House brown.
My God, I'm turning. They're gonna be like, did you hear Carlisha went in there and she had no decorum? Amen.
Breaking news.
Carlisha has no decorum. The he, she. But I mean, in those regards, I think it's important to understand that it's not about calling people out. It's also about calling people in. And, you know, in all seriousness, um, with what this political climate's trying to do in demonizing us for existing, um, I think we'll get more momentum talking and creating community across the table with people who aren't quite as like-minded as us as trans and queer people, because there's power in numbers. I think it's important for us to understand we're such a small percentage of this demographic, and um, start in your backyard, like those conversations on which I could say to Trump or Vance. I'd be trying to, you know, if and when I had the space to, you know, people that don't quite understand who we are and what we are, but just reaching across the table on how we could create community to where we could use your numbers, our numbers, to create a bigger number so we can get more motion to the direction that we need to go.
Right. Unity in motion. That's what we
I'm
need.
telling you.
So what's next for you? You got any projects or anything coming out? What's next? Where can the people find you besides Instagram?
Uh, do you really want me to plug my adult work? Okay, OnlyFans, Carly.
Yeah, we want you to plug it all. We have this is listen, we about community and spreading community. So yes, we want you to plug.
You know what's funny about that? It's like I don't mind it, but like literally, if you go on my Twitter, you're gonna have a very if you're not able to disassociate the person from the persona, you're gonna be like, oh my God, Carlisha, it's so nice to meet you, but how do you get that big old thing inside of you? And the answer is poppers. But you can follow me on Twitter at just underscore Carlisha. Um, you can subscribe to my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com backslash Yella916. Or, I'm sorry, onlyfans.com backslash Queen Yella, or justforfans.com backslash Yella916.
Okay, okay. See, y'all got that info. We trying to get them subscriptions up, right?
Don't come at, but I'm telling you, if it's a person to person conversation, I'm down to have them. But the moment sex is brought into a conversation, my manager pops up and says, "What are we here for?
Listen,
Money,
as
money,
it should,
yeah, yeah, money, money,
money,
yeah, yeah."
as it should, as it should. No, because it's funny because I'm gonna be honest. When the first time I met you, I had to Google you because I was like, I don't, I didn't know. We met at like an advocacy event.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, she's
In
an
DC.
advocate, you know.
Well, I was brought into that for the sex work piece, but I wasn't even properly prepared for that because I was trying to have roundtable conversations with sex workers who these girls are in the fucking paint. These girls are online. These girls, I mean, their ads are posted online or they're walking the blade. And I, I just noticed that when I was trying to, have these conversations, and here I am, the fucking bimbo light skinned bitch talking about, well, online OnlyFans, and these bitches are like, bitch, I need to make $70 so I can cover my fucking hotel for. What the fuck are you? You don't know it the way I know it, and it was fair. So I learned a lot in that space, more than I was supposed to teach, and very thankful for it. But yeah, we turned up in DC for sure.
Yeah, I feel like those spaces are always a little bit of give and take, like they should be. You learn a little bit. You give out some knowledge because they probably gave you a lot of the street knowledge that places that you haven't been into, and I'm
You
sure
don't
you
know
gave a
that.
lot of the corporate knowledge and how to run a business and how to make more money. So I'm sure it was a very good space, either way. But I will say I do like to end these with a little bit of joy. So tell me what gives you joy, hope, euphoria in this time, in this space right now. Like, what is it that you love and what keeps you happy? Simple,
Quiet.
quiet.
Carlisha does not do chaos for me because of the lifestyle and my profession and it being so noisy. I really enjoy just like meditation. I enjoy like having the house quiet the first hour I wake up, um, really grounding myself. And um, I'm one of those people that writes little notes on my mirror, like affirmations. I have affirmations on my phone, so anytime I turn it on, just to remind myself just the power of like call and response. So what keeps me happy is peace. Yeah, I just need to always remain grounded because motherfuckers trying to uproot a bitch.
That is great. That's great. So I just want to thank you for coming on. I want to say that your presence and your words are very powerful. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep showing up for community. Um, and again, I appreciate you for coming. Just say two things to our viewers. Say goodbye and say happy birthday, Blackout.
You got it. Happy birthday, Blackout. Bye.
All right. Bye, y'all.